Alright, Bocchi the Rock is a great show, but it is not slick. Like, come on, they really thought they could hide it from us, didn't they? They really thought they could hide it from me, the number one detective on the internet? Like, come on, Bocchi the Rock. Nice try, but I know what your true motives are. Bocchi the Rock is about four high school students forming a band, and when you abbreviate the anime's title, you get BTR. BTR. You know another show that you can abbreviate as BTR? Big Time Rush. What's Big Time Rush about? That's right, four high school kids forming a band, meaning that this anime is actually a ploy to get anime fans into Big Time Rush so it gets popular again and people go on their Hello everyone, welcome back to Desperately Needing a Haircut. I'm your host of the most hair, that is, and my name is Bisaster. So today I'll be reviewing Bocchi the Rock, an anime that originally flew under my radar when it first aired because I wasn't really watching many seasonal anime. As my longtime viewers may know, I watched most of the seasonal anime in 2020 and early 2021, but kinda got burnt out for a pretty long period of time. I've started watching seasonal anime again this year, and hopefully I'll be able to give you guys a best of video at the end of the year, but I've already kind of canceled that series, so I'm not totally sure yet. Anyways, but before, I only watched a handful of shows that were currently airing. Since Bocchi the Rock wasn't, the next big shonen anime, and it was airing in the same season as Chainsaw Man, Blue Lock, Spy X Family, and other stuff, like, the new Bleach season. Please watch the new Bleach season, it's so good. It sadly got overshadowed, in terms of being talked about at least. The show was so interesting to me, because I had literally never heard of it before, until I saw it ranked at number 14 on my anime list.
What was even more interesting to me, though, was the fact that this show is a cute girls doing cute things, or CGDCT anime. I know that those shows are popular, and most of the popular ones are relatively high rated, but an 8.96? That makes this show the highest rated cute girls doing cute things anime ever made, and by a large margin too. So what is it that separates Bocchi from all of the other rocks? That's what we're here to find out today, so without further ado, let's start out by talking about something all good anime have, the story. Bocchi the Rock's story isn't anything groundbreaking, but it doesn't need to be, and I'm really happy it isn't. The problem with so many music anime is that they feel the need to reinvent themselves with every new series, when all we really want is an interesting story with interesting characters playing cool music. A good example of this is Beck. It's about a high school kid who joins a band and does shit with them. Sometimes there's drama, sometimes there's comedy, sometimes characters try and fail. There's no action or anything like that because that would be unrealistic, and the show sets out to be realistic, which is exactly what makes it good.
Ow, fuck! Ow, ow, ow.
As a musician myself, I really enjoy shows like this because they're so easy to relate to, so I was hoping that Bocchi the Rock would kind of fall into this category too. And luckily it does. The story is about a girl who plays guitar that gets recruited into a band formed by two girls from her school. Is it original? Fuck no, but it doesn't need to be. Of course, while I do think that music anime should stop trying to reinvent the wheel with every new series, I'm not saying that every one of them needs to be an exact copy of the last one, because without any sort of interesting aspect, it gets stale, lazy, and repetitive. Luckily, Bocchi the Rock has just that, with Bocchi herself. Our main character's name is Hitori Goto, and she's a guitarist who wants to join a band. However, there's one big problem, that being that she has extreme social anxiety, and although she wants to talk to people, she can't bring herself to. That is, until one day when she meets Nijika Ijichi and Ryo Yamada, two girls who go to the same school as her. They recruit her into their band, Kasoku Band, for which Nijika is the drummer and Ryo is the bassist. Hitori, nicknamed Bocchi, which I'll be calling her for the rest of the video because that's the name I remember her by, becomes the lead guitarist for the band. The fourth member, rhythm guitarist / vocalist Ikuyo Kita, joins at a later time. Together, these four band members get into typical music anime scenarios such as concerts and practices. However, since the characters are in high school, they also spend time doing typical Japanese high school girl stuff like hanging out at each other's houses and studying. Hey guys, post-editing disaster here. So I did not notice until after the recording stage how racist and misogynistic this line sounded, and I swear to God I was not trying to come off that way at all. I'm a white male. I don't fucking know how Japanese high school girls act, and I'm not trying to act like I know how they act or that they all do the same exact thing. Maybe I'm overreacting, but I did not mean to come off this way, and I am so sorry. However, it's made more interesting because of Bocchi's social anxiety, which I think is handled extremely well, and it's represented very cool visually, which I'll get more into later. All in all, it's your typical well-crafted music/slice-of-life anime story with some great representation of anxiety to boot. Wait, did I say typical? I lied. This show is actually extremely impressive. You'd think that with an anime that just spans 12 episodes, there wouldn't be enough time to handle the development of the music skill of the characters, right? Wrong. Bocchi the Rock manages to tell a complete story with very little rushing and just a meager single core, complete with realistic aspects of being in a band. Our characters don't just magically learn how to play their instruments better or work together as a group. It takes work, and sometimes that means they make mistakes. The reality of being a musician is that you're going to fuck it up sometimes, and the show portrays that perfectly. For example, the first band's concert kinda sucks, but it's great because they learn from this and they get better from learning from their flaws. I won't spoil anything, but let me just say that all of this makes the big concert and the final episode so damn amazing. I expected to enjoy the anime because it was about a rock band, but I didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I did. I enjoyed Beck a lot, but I still found it kind of boring at times, whereas with this show, I was almost always engaged, especially with how much that the characters brought the show to life. Speaking of the characters, let's talk more about them. I already kind of touched on the main-ist character, Bocchi. She's a music-loving girl who plays guitar but struggles from social anxiety. I know it's a basic pick, but she was probably my favorite out of the bunch. Her anxiety is handled extremely well, and it was really motivating seeing how she grew during the story. There's one other aspect of her character I haven't mentioned though, that being that she's a YouTuber. Hey, I do that. But she's crafted to be a relatable character, and while I didn't always relate to her due to my anxiety not being as extreme as hers, I did for the most part. What's not relatable about her though, is that she is popular on YouTube. Hello? I can't relate to that. The fact that this girl has severe anxiety and has still amassed a much larger fan base than me is making me have a depressive episode. And she's monetized too. She's younger than me and already making a living off of YouTube. Her parents know about her channel and accept it too. Like, if I told my parents I had a YouTube channel, they'd tell me to get a real job, and I already have a real job. So yeah, Bocchi is pretty cool. She's my favorite character from the show, my favorite character ever. Please give me money, Bocchi. Please give me your subscribers, Bocchi. God, I can't believe I'm having beef with a fucking anime girl right now. Hopefully this is the content you guys subscribe for. As for the other characters, Rio, the blue-haired one, was hilarious. I really liked how she was practically the polar opposite of Nijika. While Nijika is nice and outgoing, Rio just doesn't give a shit, and she's kind of my inspiration. She's always so monotonous and dark. She fucking blows people off when they ask her to hang out by saying shit like, oh, my dog's getting surgery. And she even stays hilarious during the dramatic and emotional moments. Oh, also she's broke as fuck and leeches off of her friends, so relatable. But beneath all her sarcasm and gloom, she's a genuinely caring person. Oh, and she's also great bassist representation. Kita, the red-haired one, is gay. Okay, literally all the main characters are hella gay, but she's literally canonically a lesbian. Now, unless you've been living under a Bocchi the Rock for the past few decades, you probably know that there is a complicated history of gay representation in anime. Some anime have extremely well-crafted gay characters, while others like portraying gay people as creepy stalkers, or sex offenders, or pedophiles, or liking their siblings, and sometimes all of the above. Luckily, Kita is far from being bad representation. However, I wouldn't really say she's amazing representation either. Don't get me wrong, I loved her character, but I think they could have handled her way better. She has a massive crush on Rio, which is great taste, honestly, and is pretty obsessed with her, but not in a creepy way at all. The two have cute interactions, and even when the show makes jokes regarding her feelings for Rio, they're clearly just harmless and fun. Where the problem lies is that her feelings are entirely one-sided, which is a realistic thing, but it kind of just makes it pointless, and when your only canon gay character has a one-sided crush, plus, her and Rio isn't even Kita's best ship, but more on that later. But anyway, she's a great singer and is great at rhythm guitar. Nijika, the blonde one, is also a pretty relatable character for me because she's blonde. Actually, now that I think about it, she isn't great representation of blonde people because she's smart. Blonde people aren't smart. The stereotype that blonde people are stupid is 100% true, and I single-handedly prove that. All jokes aside though, I really loved Nijika, and I genuinely think that she's super underrated. People love Bocchi because she's relatable and funny, Rio because she's super deadpan and gloomy, and Kita because she's super gay, while Nijika is just a fun and happy girl. Well, honestly, I can't imagine the show without her. She holds the group together, keeps them going, helps organize stuff. Oh my god, she's like the bassist equivalent of a friend, and she plays the drums. So those are all the main characters, but we can't talk about the show without talking about the side characters too. Kikuri is a bassist with a crippling alcohol addiction, aka me in 10 years. She's controversial because she pulled a Gigi Allen during one of her concerts, but I think she's a nice and funny lady. Plus, she kind of acts like a big sister to Bocchi. Speaking of big sisters, Seika is Nijika's. I really liked Seika. She acts cold, but she's secretly very caring. PA-san is one of the hottest fucking characters of 2022, and she doesn't even have a name. And then you have Bocchi's family. Her mom and dad are relatively unimportant to the most of the story, but they're nice, and her little sister Futari is fucking adorable. Moving on, let's talk about the art. The animation in this show is done by Cloverworks, who you may recognize as the studio behind great shows like Spy X Family, Horimiya, and The Promised Neverland Season 1, and terrible shows like Wonder Egg Priority, Persona 5 The Animation, and The Promised Neverland Season 2. On the surface, the art looks good, but it's kind of basic. But when you actually watch the show, you get to see just how awesome the animation is. The decent but basic art style that's typical of shows of this genre is masterfully combined with weird and trippy, but cool as fuck avant-garde animation. When I said that Bocchi's anxiety was visualized in an extremely cool way, I meant it, as we get shit ranging from zany to completely fucking out there. And I mean that in the best way possible. If you've seen shows like FLCL and Panty and Stocking and like the random intercuts between the normal art style and completely different art styles, 3D animation, and even live action sequences, then you'll love the animation in this show. As a fan of both of the aforementioned shows, I really did enjoy Bocchi the Rock's animation, especially when paired with already amazing scenes. The music in the show is obviously one of the most important aspects of it, given how it's, a music anime. So it's relieving to find out that the music in this show is great and really fitting, especially the opening theme. God, I love that fucking opening theme. Sure, the music isn't perfect, but do you really expect it to be? Our characters are in high school, not fucking Led Zeppelin. Not all of the songs are flawless, and even the great ones have imperfections, but it just adds to how realistic the show is. So now, I've talked about all of the key components of the anime, but before I move on to concluding this review, there's some other stuff I wanted to mention. First of all, I was really impressed with how accurate the music-related stuff was. It didn't feel like fucking Family Guy or something where the drums are animated incorrectly because the writers know nothing about music, and then someone uploads a video calling it like, oh, the drums are never animated correctly or some shit like that, and then you click on the video and get 100 more in your recommended. Who fucking cares? You know what else Family Guy writers don't know anything about? Comedy. Stop fucking recommending me those videos, YouTube. Stop! Alright, I forgot what I was talking about, so let's move on to the cons of the show. I've mainly talked about the pros so far, which there are a lot of, and luckily there are very few cons, but they're still pretty significant, so let's talk about them. The biggest flaw, in my opinion, was that a lot of the scenes where they actually played their songs were skipped over. I get that they need to cut stuff down because of the limited runtime, given how it was a single core show, and it probably would have been a lot of audio to record, but there were more scenes than I would have liked where they'd go, okay, let's play a song, and then it would cut straight to the end and have a character be like, wow, that sounded great. Like, show, don't tell, ever heard of it? The next flaw I wanted to talk about was that I really wanted to see more of the side characters. As much as I enjoyed them, I felt like their stories were either completely avoided or glossed over. And the final big flaw that I wanted to talk about because there are some other ones, but they're so minor that they're not even really worth mentioning, is some of the comedy. Now, quick disclaimer, I'm not going to let this one affect my score for the show because it's kind of an unfair complaint, but I still wanted to talk about it. The problem with most quote-unquote comedy in anime for me is that I rarely ever find it funny to the point where I'm dying laughing. At best, most anime are able to make me chuckle, and at worst, they're painfully cringy. Don't get me wrong, I've genuinely laughed at some jokes in anime before, but if I'm looking for a comedy, I'd much rather rewatch my favorite episode of Arrested Development or something like that than just click on an anime. To be fair to some anime I don't find funny, though, it's not always their fault. Some anime jokes are locked behind a sort of culture barrier where you won't get the joke unless you're very familiar with Japanese culture, which I'm not. So while the jokes in Bocchi the Rock are, for the most part, funny, there were a good chunk of them that left me kind of confused.
So, I got a haircut, and that is pretty much all I wanted to say about Bocchi the Rock. Aside from the stuff about ships, of course, and if you want to see me talk about ships from the show, stick around until after the credits. I'm well aware that not everyone cares about shipping, which is totally understandable, so feel free to just skip that part. All in all, Bocchi the Rock is a fantastic show, with only some minor hiccups that I feel could have been fleshed out in a second cour. I would really love to see more of this anime, but for now, I'm gonna have to award it a solid 9 out of 10. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and if you haven't already, please consider leaving a like on this video, sharing it, and subscribing. It really helps me out, and I would greatly appreciate it. I hope to see you all in the next one, and until then, have a good day. Bye.
Hey everyone, once again, thank you so much for watching this video. I put a lot of work into this one, so I really hope you enjoyed it. As always, please consider liking, subscribing, and all that stuff. I know I already talked about it, but this is something I'm hoping to do for a career in the future, so it really helps me out. So, once again, thanks for watching. Stuff about ships at the end. Bye.
Okay, time to talk about ships. This video's gone on for long enough already, so I'll make this quick. First of all, my favorite ship from the show has to be Bocchi and Kita. I do think that Rio and Kita is a good ship, and obviously there's genuine basis for that one, but I personally feel like it's one-sided, and I feel like Kita starts to develop feelings for Bocchi throughout the series. Oh, and of course, Bocchi acts gay as hell around Kita as well, so my second favorite ship from the show involves the two other main characters, Rio and Ichika. Not only do the two have the closest relationship with each other throughout the series than the rest of the characters, they also have two of my favorite ship dynamics ever, bright and cheerful slash dark and gloomy for obvious reasons, and sun slash moon because Rio has dark hair and Nijika is a stupid blonde fuck. And that's pretty much all I wanted to say about the ships, but before I end the video, I wanted to give a special shout out to Seika and PA-san as a ship, for the same reason as Rio and Nijika, and also Seika and Kikuri. I cannot tell which one I like more. Okay, bye, but for real this time. And also, subscribe, because you aren't a true Bocchi fan unless you subscribe to YouTube channels, yeah.